What's going on, y'all? My name is Jarod Anderson, and I'm so excited to welcome you to my video using cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, as a framework for financial wellness. How your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors shape your financial reality. So, particularly in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what CBT is and how you can use it to overcome worry, stress, and anxiety in your finances, and how to use this framework to begin creating the financial reality that you desire to see in your life. So, y'all know more than ever, our mental health is so important that we take extra steps, extra precautionary steps to protect our mental health. And you probably also know one of the things that people stress out more than anything else is finances. A lot of my clients are worried, stressed, and experiencing depression sometimes and anxiety because of the state of their finances. So I thought it would be really great if I took something that I use from a mental health standpoint and show how you can use it not only to help keep you sane mentally, but also address one of the biggest areas of people being stressed out in their mind, with your finances. So you are in for a treat. I guarantee you, by the end of this video, you're going to be so excited about what you learn, and you're going to have some practical things that you can use in your everyday life to help you in the area of your mental and financial health. So before I get started, I want you to make sure that you visit my website at jarodanderson.com. I have a starter kit download. It's a free download for you that accompanies this presentation, and I created specifically for my educators and working professionals who may be in situations where you find yourself stressed out a lot during the day, or just things that really attack your peace of mind. And so the starter kit, it has some affirmations in there, just some things that you can do throughout the day, some things that you can say throughout the day to just keep you grounded mentally and make sure that you don't get too anxious, too stressed out, too worried, too burnt out. And so it's really designed to give you some practical tools that you can use as your own mental health professional, in a sense. And also, I have some things in there that's going to help you to better manage your finances and do some things to make sure that you are on track to reaching the financial goals that help produce the type of lifestyle that you want. So make sure that you can either go down in the description and download it, or you can go to my website at jarodanderson.com. But make sure that you download that starter kit. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, just to give you an outline again, I'm going to explain to you exactly what CBT is. I'm going to explain what the primary goals and objectives are of cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to show the connection between CBT and your money and how to use this framework to help improve your finances. And then I'm going to close out with some action steps for your well being. So, before I get deep into the framework, let me tell you a little bit about me. So, first of all, I'm a school social worker of over 20 years. I've been working with students pretty much my whole professional life. And I actually have used CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, for most of my professional life. Once I found out about the framework, I was just like, man, this is amazing. Something that you can use with anybody, and it just deals with helping people change the way how they think and feel and the behaviors that they have around certain situations. So I have a whole lot of experience using CBT. I've been doing social work for over 20 years, as I stated, and I am also a financial social work coach. I have a certification in financial social work. Basically, financial social work, kind of like this presentation, it helps to bridge finances with some of the intangibles that influence our finances, like your mindset, your past experiences, your belief systems. So, all of those things beneath the surface that influence how you make money, how you spend money, how you save money and invest money. Financial social work not seems to, but financial social work takes all those intangible concepts and shows you exactly how it impacts your daily financial affairs. So my mission in my business, I have a business called Empower Financial Coaching and Consulting. My mission is to promote and align the mental wellness of educators and working professionals with healthy financial habits. So you may even see aspects of CBT just in that first part of my mission statement. So they can break free from financial stress, feel confident managing their money, and create pathways to financial freedom, generational wealth, and joyful living. So I want you to just think about that. So imagine being in a place where you had the tools that you needed to make sure that you were well mentally and that you knew how to have the habits, the financial habits that you need to create the type of lifestyle that you want. So just think, if you stressed out about money, what would it feel like not to have to worry about money situations anymore? Or what would it feel like not to be fearful about having to open your bills, or worried about student debt and student loans and how you're going to pay that off? What if you could feel confident in managing your finances and you had a clear plan, and you knew that that plan, if you just followed the plan, would lead you to a place of financial freedom, generational wealth, and just being able to enjoy life? Well, everything that I do, that's my mission. So part of that is what I'm going to teach you how to get to that place, is what I'm going to teach you in this video. But just wanted to share a little bit about me so you kind of know who it is that you're going to be listening to for the next 45 minutes or so. All right, so let's jump into this CBT. So what is CBT? Like I said, CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. And basically what CBT does, it looks at the connection and the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And so those are the three major tenets of cognitive behavioral therapy. And the whole deal is to help you improve your thoughts, improve your feelings, and improve your behaviors so you'll have better outcomes in life. See, a lot of times the challenges that we have, they stem from one of these three areas. So it could just be some negative thoughts that you're having. It could be those negative thoughts could cause you to have negative feelings, or the negative feelings can cause you to have negative thoughts, which can lead to negative actions or behaviors. And guess what? If you're thinking negative and you're feeling negative and you're taking negative actions, guess what kind of outcomes you're going to have in life? You're going to have some negative outcomes in your life. So the thought behind CBT is, if we can help to improve your thoughts, improve your feelings, improve your behaviors, then guess what? You're going to see some significant changes in your life. Now, I added words in here. So words they aren't a part of the CBT framework, but words are so important to our lives. I think we really underestimate the power of our words. And so I just wanted to interject words in there for your thinking, because your words can influence all of these different areas. Like, you may not be feeling a certain way, but if you change how you're speaking, you can change how you're feeling. So just using more positive and powerful, optimistic words. Give you an example. I went to, I don't know, I went somewhere. I went to a store. No, I was on the phone with something at work, dealing with something with one of my students. And the lady who answered the phone, she asked me, "How you doing today?" So I said, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing well." And I said, "How are you doing today?" And she said something like, "I'm amazingly well." And when she said that, I said, "Well, hold on a second. Well, let me upgrade what I said, because you made me feel empowered just from how you said that you were doing amazingly well." So I took mine back and I said, "Well, let me change that." I said, "I'm doing well and blessed and outstanding." I just made something up. But just her words made me feel like, wow, man, there's some power coming from somebody who's saying, like, I'm amazingly well. So as we go through this presentation, I want you to just, step number one, I just want you to become more aware of what you're thinking. I want you to become more aware of your feelings and your emotions. I want you to become more aware of the decisions that you make and the behaviors that follow. But I also want you to become aware of the words that are coming out of your mouth. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can use these components to impact your finances and your financial well-being. All right, so what exactly is cognitive behavioral therapy? So, cognitive behavioral therapy is a form of talk or psychotherapy. So, if you ever heard the term psychotherapy, basically it just means a form of therapy that involves talking or communication. And it's designed to help you to see the connection between your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, like I just explained to you. And it's also designed to help you change unhealthy thought patterns, unhealthy feelings, and unhealthy behaviors and learn to adopt healthier thinking patterns, habits, and beliefs. So, really, in a nutshell, you have everything that you need to learn right there. So, anything that's going on in your life, it has some origin in how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and the behaviors or the actions that you take. And the goal of CBT is to identify some of the more unhealthy thought patterns that you may have, some of the unhealthy feelings that you may be feeling, and those unhealthy thoughts and feelings may be causing you to behave in ways that's not in your best interest. But the core key thing to remember is that all of these areas impact each other. So I'm going to probably say the same thing over and over again because, as you know or may not know, repetition is the mother of all learning. So I really want to say this stuff over and over again until it really starts to sink into your thinking. So, what are the goals with the CBT framework and what are some of the objectives? So, as I stated before, you want to pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors enough so you can identify, man, what type of thoughts am I thinking that are not working in my favor? What are some of the negative thoughts that you may be thinking or feeling? And I deal with this with students all the time. So, just to give you a quick example, I had a student one time who he was doing really bad in his class. Like he was had a whole bunch of failing grades in there. And so I got an opportunity to speak to that particular student. And so I said, "Yo, man, what's going on? Like, why are you struggling in this class?" And he said, "It's because I don't want to." He said, "I don't understand what's going on in the class. I don't understand what the teacher." He said, "I did at first, but he said I just kind of got lost and I don't understand what the teacher's teaching now." So I said, did you ever take the time to just ask questions to get clarity or understanding of the thing that is giving you trouble?" And so he said, "No." And I asked him, "Okay, if you don't understand what the teacher is teaching, why don't you ask questions?" And he said, "Because I didn't want to feel stupid. I didn't want to look stupid, like I didn't know what she was talking about." Now, mind you, he didn't know what she was talking about, but the thought in his mind, he associated asking a question with being stupid. And so that was a negative thought that led to feelings of inadequacy. It caused him to feel like he wasn't intelligent. And it led to the behavior of him not taking the initiative to answer questions, to ask questions. And as a result of that, he began to act out in class. I think that's why I actually started to talk to him because his behaviors was starting to become a disruption in the class. But all of it started from that thought that to ask questions is going to make me look stupid. So, going back to the goals and objectives of CBT, to unlearn negative thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, number one, to then replace those thoughts with healthier thinking patterns, habits, feelings, and behaviors. All right. And then is to get all of this stuff in alignment. Now, this is the good part right here. So, here's the key, and I'm going to show you how this ties in with your finances. You need to get the right thoughts in alignment with the right feelings, in alignment with the right behaviors. So, you see, sometimes you can the reason why alignment is so important because you can start working on your thinking and you can start thinking better thoughts. But if your behaviors aren't aligned with that better thinking, then things are still going to be off. So the idea is we want to get all of those areas in alignment. And don't forget that I included those words in there as well. So we want to get your thinking in alignment with the right feelings, with the right behaviors, and we want to be speaking the right words. And when you can get all of those things into alignment, I guarantee you're going to see some significant changes in your mindset, even in your finances. And then the last goal of CBT is to help you develop some new skills, some new behaviors, some new habits, some new beliefs, and those are going to produce some new outcomes for your life. So yeah, see how all of this stuff is how it all comes together. So it's not just the thoughts, it's not just the feelings, it's not just the behaviors, it's also let's learn some new skills. Let's do these behaviors long enough to develop some new habits. And when you start acting in a different way over a prolonged period of time and you start seeing results, it's going to change your belief systems. And when all of those things change, you can't help but to see some different outcomes in your life. All right. So I hope y'all tracking me. Y'all tracking with me. Are y'all getting what I'm putting down? All right. Stay with me. And if you don't understand something, please ask me a question in the comment section or wherever, and I'll be sure to respond back to you. So let's see how all this fits together. So here again, repetition is the mother of all learning. So I'm gonna again go through this just so it becomes so plain to you that you say to yourself, this is so easy. I can do this. I can already see you saying, man, this I can do this. I can see how this is going to help me in my mental health, my financial health. So let's start again with your thoughts. What are the current? So here's some examples of how this might play out. So your current thoughts, you may have negative, limited, and distorted thoughts about yourself and money. All right. So we're talking about now, how does all of this connect between, what's the connection between CBT and your financial wellness? Most people's thoughts where the money concerned is negative, like, man, I'll never get out of this debt, or, I'm gonna be struggling on this job for the rest of my life, or I have more a month than money. So most people's thoughts around their finances are limited and they're distorted. So guess what? If you have limited and distorted thoughts about yourself and your money, those are going to transfer to certain type of emotions. So catch the sequence here now. Distorted thoughts about how you see yourself, like, man, I'll never get to the place of being financially independent, or I'll never get to the place of being financially free. Those type of thoughts lead to the worry, the stress, the anxiety. You may have made some bad mistakes in your finances in your past, and now you feel a level of shame and guilt about things that you did when you were younger. And as a result, those emotions, those thoughts and those emotions, they lead to specific type of behaviors. So a lot of the clients that I work with, sometimes they avoid opening bills because they just don't want to face the reality that your bills are a reflection of you in a sense. Sometimes it results in overspending. So I know you all have probably heard of retail therapy. So if I'm feeling a certain way emotionally, well, I think I'm going to go shopping. And if you're treating yourself to something, nothing wrong with going shopping if you're feeling good. But a lot of times the behaviors that we have in our finances, they come from unhealthy places. So we just want to make sure that when you spend your money, you're doing it from a place of health, from a place of wellness, and not because you feel stressed out or you feel worried, or you're guilty, so you don't want to really take time to go through your finances. So we want to help you to take care of the root issues so we can address some of these behaviors. Another one might be impulsive spending. So if I see it, I'm going to get it. I don't care. I work hard for this money. So that could come from a place of feeling like you're going to run out, and so anything that you see, I just want to go ahead and get it now. I want to enjoy life now because I don't know what could happen. And then another aspect or negative behavior, just no planning. And here again, this is not to put you in any guilt or condemnation. A lot of times we just weren't taught these things. And sometimes negative aspects of money comes from past money experiences. For instance, I know I used to always hear my parents, they used to fight over money on Friday when it was payday. My father had a certain part of the bills that he was supposed to pay. And when he didn't have enough to cover his, he would never just say, um, you know what, the deal. I'm a little bit short this week. He would always make it seem like, well, you making all that money. So if you making all that money, I don't see what the problem is. You can cover that little bit that I don't have this week. And from that, I always kind of took away from that. I'm just going to save, 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 save as much as I can because I don't ever want to be in a place where I don't have enough money. And so what that caused for me, like I really didn't know how to enjoy money sometimes because I was so fearful of running out. So that's another emotions that a lot of people experience with finances is fear. But we don't want that to be the case with you. So that's why we're going through how to use this framework to correct some of those root issues. So thoughts lead to emotions, leads to behaviors, and guess what? Those behaviors over time lead to financial habits. And financial habits are the repeated behaviors and decisions that are currently shaping your financial present and future. So the crazy thing is, a lot of times we don't even recognize the financial habits that we have. I know there was a point in my life where after I had been working for 20 years, it just dawned on me like I didn't have anything to really show in terms of investments and retirement for these 20 years that I was working. And I couldn't figure out like what in the world is going on? Like I've been working for 20 years and I was making good money, but I couldn't figure out like what's happening to all of this money. And so what was happening, like I told you, I would save, but I would always spend from where I was putting the money at that I saved. And so rather than really focusing on putting money aside for retirement, I would just put it into a savings account. And once I realized that, man, I deserve to enjoy this money, so I'm going to start spending it, I would save it and spend it, save it and spend it. And I engaged in this habit and didn't catch it for over 20 years until it really hit me one day, just like, I'm going to be retiring in another 20 years. And if I don't do something different now, I'm going to be in a place where I'm not going to be in a position to retire comfortably. And even that thought of retirement is a part of a thought that we were given when we were young. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But here again, those behaviors, those negative behaviors over the course of time can lead to financial habits. And those habits are shaping your present and your future. All right. So those financial habits then create an identity. And I call this your inner money identity. And this is your secret perception your secret perception and beliefs about yourself and where money about yourself and money and finances. So you see how this is stuff that no one may ever know about you. Like we can see the outward behaviors, but we don't really see the inner workings of how you see yourself. And so a lot of times I know where this inner money identity is concerned, this may look like somebody who doesn't really want to let people know that they feel insecure about themselves. So they'll use money and buying a whole lot of things to try to create an identity for themselves that make them appear a certain way, but their inner money identity is secretly really one of fear, insecurity, and almost a lack of self confidence about oneself. So we really dig down. So when I'm working with my clients, these are the type of things that I'm working on helping them address. And it's not just about changing how you spend and changing your investing in your savings. Those are all good, and those are behaviors that have to be addressed as well. But we got to get to these root issues of thoughts, emotions, and your inner money identity and how you see yourself. So I'll just pause for you to think for a second. How would you describe your inner money identity? What's your secret perceptions and beliefs about yourself where your money and finances are concerned? Do you feel confident where your finances are concerned? Do you feel inferior where your money and finances are concerned? Do you feel a sense of guilt or shame? Do you feel like you're a failure? So Not for you to judge yourself, but you just need to be aware this is how I see myself. And finally, all of these things lead to creating your financial lifestyle. And I define your financial lifestyle as how your finances daily support, enhance, or limit the life you choose to live. So a lot of times we just settle for the lifestyle that has been presented before us, but you think that you're living the way that you're living because of how much money that you're making on your job. That's part of it, but the real truth is your financial lifestyle is really being dictated by all of these things that we're talking about. So if you want to increase or enhance your financial lifestyle, if you want to get to a place of financial independence and get to a place of financially being financially free where you don't have to depend on your paycheck, or to the place where you can start to create and generate generational wealth for your children and your children's children, you're going to have to start to change some of these areas that I'm talking about. It's not just a matter of you trying to find another job that pays more money, because it's but so many hours in the day. And even if you get more money, if you're still operating by the wrong thoughts, the wrong emotions, and the wrong behaviors, you're going to stay stuck in the same position. All right. So I hope you all are getting this, man. I'm getting excited just going through this stuff for myself. So let's move on. So next, we're going to look at 4 roadblocks to financial independence using the aspects of the framework. So the first is distorted cognition. So that's just a fancy way of saying you kind of messed up in your thinking. That's the best way I can say that. Distorted cognitions mean that you got some faulty thinking going on. So what's an example of a distorted cognition? It could be like the only way to get financially free is to work 3 or 4 jobs. So maybe that could be a distorted cognition, or you could have a distorted cognition like people like me can never get to the place of being rich or wealthy. So distorted, you know what distorted is, and the cognitions is just the thought part. So it's just a place where you're off in your thinking. And the challenge is sometimes you don't even know that it's distorted because it's just how it's what you heard your whole life. So for instance, another one is like, money don't grow on trees. So the underlying thought there is, you don't expect too much now because money is hard to come by. That's what they're really saying. Like money don't grow on trees. So making money is hard. So that could be another distorted cognition that is hard to make plenty of money. But that's not necessarily true. It just depends on how you've been taught or trained and the things that you believe. Next is subconscious programming. Now, this is a big one. And a lot of times, like I said, these things are so imperceptible, you don't even know that your life is being run by subconscious programming. Let me give you an example of that. So, subconsciously, most of us have been programmed to follow what I call a default path. And that path is to go to school, get your education so you can get a good job and work to retirement. Whether you realize it or not, the majority of you listening to this now are probably operating by that subconscious program. And if it's working for you, that's fine. But here's the problem: for most people, it's not really working out the way that they would like it to. So here's the problem, one of the biggest problems with that subconscious programming has you working towards what's the end goal of what I just said. Go to school, get your education so you can get a job so you can work to retirement. What's the end goal of that? It's retirement. But guess what? Just because you make it to a certain amount of time, which is how we measure retirement comes after working a certain amount of years. But how many of you know people who, even in retirement age, they still don't have enough to live the lifestyle that they were living during their working years, or even to live comfortably? So the issue is, would you rather be able to work to retirement, or would you rather be able to work to become financially independent? But the programming doesn't dictate the end being financial independence or financial freedom or generational wealth, the program dictates you getting a job and working till retirement. And why it's so hard for so many people to break out is because that programming is running their lives and it's in their subconscious, so it's beyond your awareness. So to break free of that, you're really going to need to get some coaching and somebody that can really help you identify what the programming is and then give you some strategies to help you break free of it. And you're going to have to really retrain your whole mindset. And that's a lot of what I do in my coaching with my clients, really dig into examine what are the subconscious programmings that's keeping you where you currently are preventing you from getting to where you want to go. All right. So let's move on to the next financial roadblock, financial illiteracy. So look, anything that you want to be proficient in, you're going to have to become educated or literate in that area. Case in point for me, I wanted to become a social worker. So guess what? I had to go to school. I got my undergrad in psychology. I had to get the necessary training to become literate in the field of social work. And that didn't just stop once I got my social work degree. I had to continue learning. A lot of people don't really put much effort in learning about finances. So in a sense, you can read, but when it comes to financial literacy, you're illiterate. So you have to learn, in a sense, how to read money and finance. So you could have gone to school and gotten trained to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever for years. You could have gotten 8, 10 years of training, but all of that still is going to require you to learn and to know what to do with that money when you make it. So, what good is it to work so hard to get the money, but then you're ignorant or illiterate with what to do with the money once you get it? So, that's another real big roadblock. And these are like I said, the things that I help my clients and people that I coach help them overcome. So, I want you to challenge yourself to learn something new every day, or at least something new every week in the area of personal finance, because you cannot get away from money. Every step that you take and in every direction that you turn, finances are going to be involved. So I need you to make that one of your top priority. Just like you put the 4 to 6 to 8 years into getting your degree, I need you to put that same amount of emphasis and focus on becoming financially literate. And then the last one is just misalignment. So, forgot to clean up this slide a little bit. So, misalignment again is your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your words, your habits, all of those things have to be in alignment. So let me show you why that's so important. You can be literate financially, you can know everything about personal finance, but if you still aren't taking action in alignment with what you're learning, what good is that going to do you? You're just going to have the big head full of knowledge, but you're not executing on the information that you have. And so you're going to have to make sure that what you're learning is in alignment with how you're thinking and even your speaking. So I hear a lot of people, if they could just get their mouth in alignment, they would see changes in their life. So imagine you just waking up every day thinking, man, I'm going to be struggling financially for the rest of my life. You could be reading all of the information that you want to read and you can know all of the investments, but just you confessing, like, man, I'm going to be on the struggle bus for the rest of my life financially. That's setting something in motion that's going to cause that to manifest in your life. The other part is you could start with your words. Like, you could not know where to start at, what you need to do to get out of a certain financial situation. But you could just start with your words and you could say something like, man, I'm increasing financially every day, or I always know make the right decisions with my money, or money comes to me easily and effortlessly. So these are some of the affirmations that I have in my the starter kit. So that's why I want to make sure that you download that starter kit, because it's going to give you the pieces and it's going to help you get them all in alignment. Okay. So alignment is so important. And I know sometimes we overlook thoughts are not that big a deal. Like we really need to focus on our behaviors, or you may be thinking like, well, the words that I speak is not really that important. Listen, it's almost like a car. All of these things have to be working together. So even with the car, what good is it to have a car but your brakes don't work? Or what if you have everything is working but your starter goes out? So everything has to be in alignment, and it has to be working together for this all to work. And granted, this takes time. Now, I'm not saying that, if you're just getting started with this process, that this is something that's going to change overnight. But as you begin to work with it, and this is what I saw in my life, once I realized that I didn't know where my money was going, I started paying attention to these areas. And it didn't change overnight, but as I began to spend more time with my thoughts, and spend more time with my words, and spend more time learning more, and spend more time changing some of my decisions and my habits and my behaviors where money was concerned, I started to see things change. And I eventually got to the place where I started seeing wealth accumulate in my life. And so I'm at the place now where I'm teaching this to other people. So make sure now, this is a quick plug. You can schedule, if you need help getting started with this process, go to my website to schedule a free one-on-one consultation with me. All right, let's move on. We're about to wrap this up in a few minutes. So here again, for the sake of repetition, this is how all this works. If we can get you to start thinking better thoughts, then you're going to start feeling better. Or if we can start getting you to feel better, it might change your thoughts. And as you have better thoughts and feelings, you're going to have some better actions and behaviors. And over the course of time, those better actions and behaviors are going to lead to better financial habits and beliefs. And once you start to change your habits and beliefs, and you start living life in a new way, and you start believing and thinking and acting and feeling and behaving a different way, it's going to lead to a different financial lifestyle. Namely, it's going to take you to a place of financial independence and freedom in life. Listen, I'm telling y'all, it's possible because I'm living through this process right now myself. And it doesn't happen overnight, like I said, but man, once you get some momentum and you start seeing things working, man, it's a great feeling. And I'll tell you this last story. So again, once I realized that I had no clue where my money was going, I started learning more, and I said, okay, I need to make some different decisions. So one of the first things that I ended up doing, I took one of Dave Ramsey's course, or maybe it was his book, and I ran across his baby steps. And one of his, for those of you who are familiar with it, one of his first baby steps is to save $1,000. I had never saved $1,000 in my life. After over 20 years of working, I had never saved $1,000. I'm ashamed to say that now. But once I set that as a goal, and I do have a goal planning worksheet in the starter kit. So again, make sure you download that. But once I started changing my mindset, made some different decisions, started taking some different actions, which led to some different behaviors, I made that one of the first things that I did. Well, let me get to this $1,000 first. And you know what? It almost shocked me how quickly I was able to reach $1,000. And I was just like, man, if it was that easy to do 1,000, let's keep on going. And so it went from 1,000 to 5,000. And then another significant thing, I started to really focus on paying down debt. So once I got into alignment, things started to happen a lot easier for me. I was able to pay down $4,000 worth of credit card debt within maybe a year's time. And I know that may not seem like a lot to those of you who may have like tens and hundreds of thousands of debt. But I'm telling you, once things start to get in alignment, it creates a level of momentum for you where the people say the universe or God and spiritual supernatural forces start to get in alignment with you to help you reach the goals that you've set. So I'm telling you, listen, this framework, if you use it, it can change your life. There's nothing magic about it. And it's a lot of work that's involved because you got to go back and identify certain things that you've been taught and certain way that you've been believing, and you have to deprogram yourself from past experiences and maybe lies or things that you were told. Then you have to go through a reprogramming process, and then you have to be consistent. But I'm telling you, if you are willing to do the work and stick with it, it can and will change your life, and I'm here to help you do that. All right. So we're about to wrap up. So I want you to remember this. What we feel like affects what we think and do. What we think affects how we act and feel. So I just want you to see they're all interrelated. What we do affects how we think and feel, and what we speak influences all of these areas. So here's the beautiful thing. You can just jump in wherever you want to. You may want to start with, okay, I want to change some behaviors. uh, if you change your behaviors, it's going to have a ripple effect into how you think and how you feel. Or you may just want to say, you know what, I got some real negative, limiting beliefs that I grew up with. Maybe you want to start changing those. All right. If you change those, that's going to start changing how you feel, and it's going to start changing what you do. Or maybe you just want to start with speaking a little bit differently. That's why I created the affirmations in the starter kit. Do those affirmations every day, and they're going to start to impact how you feel and how you think. So that's the beautiful thing about the CBT framework. You can jump into it anywhere you want to and just kind of work from that place. But you just have to jump in somewhere and then let that thing mushroom out and take a life on its own. So that's all that I have. I know you got a whole lot of value out of this video. Now it's not done yet though. You got to take some action. So all of the information is good. I'm glad that you got excited off of what you learned, but what are you going to do with it? So to get you started, here are a couple of actions that you can take. If you are saying to yourself, you know what, Jarod, you're going to, matter of fact, you're going to hear my voice. You're going to hear this stuff when you go to bed tonight, and you're going to be thinking, man, I need to go ahead and schedule that one-on-one with Jarod so I can get these finances in order. I want you to schedule a one-on-one with me. You can go to my website at jarodanderson.com, and we're just going to talk for about 15 minutes, and we're going to go over some of the stuff that you saw in this video here, and I'm just going to ask you, where are you now, where you want to be, and then we'll create some next steps to help you create a plan to get there. So schedule that one-on-one with me. Be sure to go back and download the Mental Money Makeover Starter Kit. That's an ideal place to start. There's some affirmations in there. There's a daily checklist of things that you can do to protect your mental health throughout the day in there. So go and download that starter kit. It's down in the description. It's on my website, and start doing those on a daily basis. And once you get into that groove, then I already have something else that you can do. I have a course in there. It's called the 31 Irrefutable Laws of Financial Independence. You want to take that as a next step, but do the starter kit at least for about 3 weeks first before you jump to the course. And then lastly, follow me on social media. All my social media handles are on my website. It's Jarod A. Anderson. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and you're watching this on YouTube. So stay connected with me, because I'm just going to continue teaching more of what I taught you today. And I'll be back here with another video on next week. So thank you all for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Help me get this word of mental health and financial health out. Definitely looking to get to 10,000 people by the end of this year. And yeah, we're gonna make it there, and I'm gonna do it with your help. All right, thank you all so much. I know you got some tremendous value. Please share this video with others that you know that may benefit from it, and we can all come up together financially. All right, I'll see you all next week. Later.